Welcome to the Kite Pod with me, Rou Chater, a brand new podcast brought to you by the team at ikisurfmag.com, the world's #1 media outlet for kitesurfing. Each episode we'll be diving deep into the sport we love, from the latest gear to the people shaping kitesurfing today. A huge thank you to our diamond supporters, Duotone, Kiteboarding, Core Kiteboarding and Ozone for making this possible. Don't forget to check out ikisurfmag.com for daily updates, news and videos from this fantastic sport. And if you enjoy the show, please like, share and subscribe wherever you're listening. It really helps us to grow and keeps the stoke alive. Let's get into it. Welcome to another episode of the Kite Pod with me, Rou Chater. I am sat down today with a good friend of mine, Philipp Becker. We've known each other for a very long time in the kiteboarding industry. He is the International Communications and Marketing Manager for Duotone Kiteboarding. And we've got him on here today to talk about the new Duotone products, which have just launched. I think they're going to be available in the shops anytime now. I think you can pre-order some of them and some of them are shipping at the moment. So it's always an exciting time in the industry with lots of new product launches. But just before we get into the details of the product, Philipp, how long have you been working at Duotone now?
Thanks for the introduction, Rou. I've been working with Boats & More, Duotone, Norse before for the last 15 years and always been in the Duotone Kiteboarding marketing team. And till today, having a lot of fun.
You must have seen quite a lot of changes in that time. What's different about the role that you do today compared to when you first started 15 years ago, for instance?
I think everything is more complex these days. If I think back 15 years ago, and when I launched the first Facebook channel, there was Facebook, and that was pretty easy to find content to do it. Content was, I would say, consumed in a way more different way than it is today. Everything is fast today. The span of focus is super short. So also there, especially in marketing, we have to make sure that we actually can transport information, not only the TikTok snippets. And at the same time, looking at Boats & More, Duotone, we grew a lot, and we're a big team of quite a lot of people and freelancers in the marketing team. And it's not only the classic marketing, which was before you would have printed magazines. This was kind of also your communication. You had the website, you had a little bit of Facebook, but that was basically it. And now we've got all the different channels. We have the Duotone Pro Centers, we have the Duotone Academy, we have the Youngblood Initiative, we have the 1% for the Planet. We have so many sustainability aspects, which are marketing, but also product. And I think today we're also working way closer together with the R&D department and as Boats & More, as Duotone brand as a whole, also together with the colleagues from Wing, stand-up paddling, the e-foil now, which is coming. So yeah, I guess everything is more complex. And for me personally, it always stayed interesting.
Do you still, is there still a split between like the kiteboarding side of things and you working on kiteboarding, or do you get involved in the wing? And you mentioned the foiling and the e-foiling as well. Is there a bit of crossover, or is it kind of a firm split at Duotone as to who runs what?
We have different divisions. And I think for the Duotone Wing, it was very important and a very early decision of Till, the CEO of Boats & More, that he said, no, we need a separate department for the wing to actually have it grow and to have dedicated people to do it. Plus, from the kiteboarding side, we started to try to handle it, but it went way too big, way too fast. And at the same time, maybe a good example is that me being located and having a base in Tarifa, the colleagues from the wing are coming over for their Youngblood camp this week. And on Friday this week, I'm going to do two little workshops for the kids which are coming, where I can share some general ideas about how to be a valuable athlete to Duotone, which then again works for Wing as well as Kite. And at the same time, when there's shootings, for example, or things we can do together, of course, we try to do it together for the fun, but also, of course, for costs.
Yeah, I saw the picture of the Youngblood camp. It looks a lot bigger than it used to be. I remember those events back in the day when, Tom Court was on the Youngblood team and going
Yeah.
away, and there's probably like 10 people maybe. Now it looks pretty huge. Is it quite a hard thing to manage? Because it's a great concept to kind of nurture young talent, and I know it's something that you as a brand are really
Yeah.
keen on. Is it quite a
Yeah.
difficult and time-consuming project, that?
It is, but it's also a project what we really want to do from our hearts, because the development of the youth is important. At the same time, it's talent scouting for us. Plus, it's not only one young blood camp, which is international with all the athletes. We're from the young blood camp 2 years ago. For example, Andrea, Lorenzo, a couple of other ones were in this young blood camp, which are now the world champions, quota winners. All this Edgar Ulrich, for example, is also coming out of those. And now it's breaking down already to the national markets. They're all doing their own young blood camps. It's just from the riding perspective, it's on a lower level. But compared to the years before, and I talked with Reno about it, he was also at one of the first ones in, I don't know, 2003, 4 probably. And now, or then, you went with a bunch of kids, went to Egypt, you had fun for a week, they went riding, that was about it. If we go now, we have a preparation time of a couple of weeks, month. Luckily, we also have Poach involved, which is helping us a lot with the finances. But they're also, for example, sending influencers, paying the influencers, which are not from water sports industry, to share, for example, how to edit, how to be a valuable influencer, how to make a living through this. Plus, we had a sports psychologist, also from Poach, which is normally working with racing drivers. And at the same time, we had a program of 2 hours for the kids where they were really interested in, and even like sometimes half a year later, they come, wow, what we did at the Youngblood camp with the psychologist, or what the cameraman of Duotone, name is Carlos, was also working with us since more than 20 years already. And the kids love to get all this information. And sometimes they're a little bit overwhelmed that day, but so many come back after months to me and say, and also the parents, what you did there, it was incredible. They're still talking about it. And it's not surprising, because now the schedule is from Monday to Saturday from 8 to 7, plus sometimes some games or fun things in the evening. And not even so much focus on kiting and training during this week, but more to show them how can you train, how can you get better, what's important in contests, and to prepare them for a career as an athlete.
Do you have some of the people come back and, that have been on a young blood camp and they'll come back? I know some of the older guys have done it, but, some of the more recent people that have been through it, like Andrea and stuff like that, do they come and help mentor as well, or are they too busy with their tour schedules?
Yeah, no, it happens. And we would like to do some with Andrea. He did one in Italy already with the Italian distributor. What the kids also love, because he's their role model and he's really good at the camps. The last international camp we did in France, in Hyères, there Edgar Ulrich was helping us with the location, but he was also there whole day. And he, as a person, and also with his careers and ups and downs, he's super inspiring for the kids.
Yeah, that's really good to kind of, those kids that you're having on the young blood camp, they might be coming back in 5 years and mentoring more kids. So it's great to see, because we need that influx of young people, right? That's how the sport survives. Yeah, it's really impressive. And then I know another part of your...
One example also for this, where I was quite surprised in Spain, in Tarifa, there was also the Youth World Championship. And as Machu, Mika, and Liam were already there, we were thinking, okay, we do like 20 minutes, half an hour for the kids where they can ask questions. And same with the concentration span. I thought, 15, 20 minutes are enough. It's just like quick answers and questions. And I think we sat there for more than 2.5 hours, and the kids were like, no one was on the phone. Everybody was listening. Nearly everybody had questions. Marchuli and Mika were doing an amazing job. So the kids love this sport. They have their idols, and they're super happy if they can get close and get this first-hand information.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that. I've always been a fan of, I remember the first kind of young blood camps, 2003, 2004, and thinking it was a really good program. And it's good to see that the brand's been continuing that for near on 20 years. So, it's really impressive. I know another big part of your role is organizing, photo shoots and content and stuff like that. We live in a world now in the industry where there is so much product. How hard is it to generate the content that you need for the coming year? You've just got the 2026 products launching. How did you go about getting all the photographs and all the video content? Because it's not just for magazines anymore, like you said earlier. It's content for social media, it's short videos for TikTok, it's longer format stuff for YouTube. How much of a headache is that as a part of your job?
It's probably the hardest challenge every year, because year after year it's the same struggles and new struggles. And in a perfect world, we have everything planned, and it's not me organizing the photo shootings. It's like it's a full-on team effort where Tommy Kaiser, who's now the Duotone overall marketing director, he's like on the detail very early. And we as a team, we're trying to have these photo shootings planned as good as we can. But everything needs to be perfect to have the product in time, for example, which a lot of times doesn't happen because a designer, for example, Sky, still has to do something important on a Neo D Lab, which really needs to still be done, takes another 2 weeks, where we can't say, look, okay, if the kite is 20% better if you do that, of course we invested 2 weeks. Of course we postpone the photo shooting. Of course we change the flights. Of course we make sure that all the schedules of the riders which have to come, camera team which has to come, the marketing person which has to come, that everything works out. And as we're launching products all over the year, starting from August till spring next year, we have to be on shootings basically whole year round, where we have one major shooting, which was in Venezuela this year, where we get a good base, and with this we can start and launch. But even now at that time, Andrea's coming over today, and we need to start a couple of bits and pieces for the Rebel D Lab, which is also being launched pretty soon already. So everything is always with a lot of pressure. And as we all know, with the wind and with the conditions, sometimes we're just unlucky, and you have to find different solutions. And
Yeah,
I have to say, with the team we have now, where everybody knows what they're doing, and even after years, everybody's still willing to go this extra mile, and where we have partners with Toby Bromwich for the photos, for example, and Carlos Guzman for the videos and the editing. Somehow it always works in time, but sometimes we're wondering ourselves how it worked out in the end.
It must be pretty stressful. How do you go about choosing a location? Because you mentioned there, wind and waves are the one things we can't guarantee. And I'd imagine you're planning these shoots quite far in advance. So how do you actually go about picking where you're going to go to photograph all the new product?
It's loads of factors. In an ideal world for wave shooting, I would just look at the map, look at the spots, and say, okay, we go to some deserted island with the biggest barrels and at the best time of the year. But then I look at the product launching and I think, okay, the first 5 spots don't work. So we have to make the most out of it. It's never, when you're doing episodes, for example, like pure image, and you have the product already, you can do it like this. You choose a place, you choose the riders, you have a little bit of a story to it, everything is fine. Still, you need to be lucky with the wind. You can be on Mauritius for 14 days and don't get any waves. Could also happen. And for the product shootings, it's a little bit different. So Venezuela worked out for us very good the last 3 years, because it's a setup also with friends in Venezuela, which help us a lot with the boat, with the location and everything. We have the most important products ready at this time, and the team knows the place. They go 3 years in a row now. Everything is kind of easy. It's kind of a wind guarantee. It's the classic turquoise water, sunshine pictures, which is great, but is not what the whole view on duotone should be. So this is where also we need a little bit more extreme rough pictures, what we're trying to create then on different spots throughout the year. And for the choosing, of course, money always is an aspect. For example, with the wave shootings over the last 2-3 years, we focused, or we were looking at places like Mauritius, and we're still trying to get these dream shots, what everybody is dreaming when you're sitting in office or when you're watching YouTube at night on the couch. At the same time, for pure product, the easiest was for us to go to Fuerteventura this year, or actually the third year in a row already. Carlos is there, the setup is there. At this time of the year, there's a kind of a guarantee for wind, waves. You need to be lucky, but you still get something. It's not perfect peeling, barreling, never. But for the products and the conditions, also we and our customers are in most of the time, it works perfect.
How's it getting the product to these locations? Because I can imagine just the sheer amount of bags that you must be shipping. Are you shipping them direct from the factory to the location, or are they coming to a central point in Europe where you're then dealing with it? How does that work? Like the logistics behind it all must be quite tough to manage as well.
Before all that, and talking about product, it's the most difficult thing for our R&D, because they're still designing. Of course, they have the timelines, but sometimes things don't work out. Either shipments or the raw materials not there. Production makes mistakes. Everything what could possibly go wrong. Some things go wrong, and we know this. When the product is finished, we're getting these. It's not samples anymore. Everything has design. Sometimes it's still not even the finished product, but we need it already to shoot. We'll adjust the little small things which have to be adjusted. If it's a bridle which is not final, for example, we're in contact with the designers, then we get the final measurements, we prepare it for the shootings, we make it work so we get a good shooting and the riders have a good product. The products then normally arrive in the office in Munich. If we can take from the bulk production, it would be in Austria, but normally at this point of time it arrives to Munich, and we actually hand carry the things to the location. Because also there we're safer than to have it in a container and be sent to Fuerteventura, for example. There's a big chance it gets stuck in customs.
Yeah, I've heard about that happening in the past. It must be quite stressful wandering through the airports. I remember once we did a test trip years ago, I think in 2006, and we had 18 bags of equipment and just 2 people to try and maneuver it all through the airport. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, it makes it really stressful. I think after that, I was like, okay, now we just test in the UK. It's much easier to test here rather than to try and drag everything somewhere fancy to get it done. And when you're, aside from the photo shootings and things like that, how is it with team management these days? Because the sport's changed a lot with a big focus on big air now. And in the past, it felt like there was a sort of equal focus on strapless, wave riding, freestyle. Now it feels like there's so much of a focus on big air. How do you go about choosing who's going to come on the team, and how do the riders fit in with the team around those sports and around the way the sport's changed in recent years?
Yeah. In general, our ideology, let's say, is not to buy world champions. And this has been like this for the last 15, 20 years, where there is some exceptions. But in general, for example, the young blood camps we talked about, this is where we're trying to find talent already and help the talent develop. And Andrea, Lorenzo are the perfect examples for big air. They're, I would say, the best riders. Next to Jeremy now coming back, and of course they're all amazing. But I think these two have this rivalry and the battle for the podium at the moment. And like with Lorenzo, and things change. Yes, he's with a different brand now, but at the same time, we are happy to actually find talent like this through our young blood camps. And at the moment, I'm feeling a little bit sorry for all the other disciplines, which are amazing. Like you and me, we love to go wave riding. It's an amazing, not even niche of the sport, but an amazing part of the sport. And all the focus is on big air at the moment. So many people would just been doing strapless freestyle, going into waves. Now out of a sudden going to boosting, which is fine, which is probably the most essential thing of kiteboarding, to go riding and boost. And at the same time, I'm hoping, wishing that pushing from Duotone side that we get the wave side a little bit back, the foiling side a little bit back, which are all super interesting parts of the sport. And
Yeah. It
What
definitely feels like there's been a big shift. You know, it's as someone who does a lot of wave riding, kite foiling as well, you know, it's a shame, because I remember, was it quite a few years ago, you guys were selling more strapless surfboards in Tarifa than twin tips.
Yes, exactly.
With the explosion of you know, strapless, and that's what everyone wanted to do. And it's kind of crazy because Tarifa's not a wave location, but everyone was wanting to do the strapless freestyle, and it was, you know, such a big boom. So I wonder if, you know, with kiteboarding, it always seems to be quite cyclical, where, you know, when kite foiling launched, it really boomed and everyone was kite foiling and everyone wanted to do it. And then with strapless as well. So perhaps there's a chance that we'll go full circle and start moving back around again, maybe.
Now we have the wing as a totally new sport, but also a lot of kiters, windsurfers are trying. Some are coming back, some are not coming back. Some new people coming to the sport because of big air, because they also finally understand again what it's all about. Also, it might look quite scary if you don't know what's going on, or it is scary if you know what's going on. But yeah, for sure the focus at the moment, and we see it in sales, big air products, 20, the Rebels, the Evos, what the riders are using in big air, those are the products which are selling.
I guess as a brand, and you are, you know, on the leading brand in kiteboarding by some margin in terms of sales and product out there, you kind of got to go where the sales are, right? You can't be pushing really hard for strapless when all your sales are in the big air. You've got to kind of follow that sales trend. Do you think that that's led by the brand pushing the sales that way, or do you think it's just the people that are pushing the sport?
I think it all goes in ways. I would not be surprised if in 2-3 years the attention drifts away from big air, and out of a sudden we go into big wave contests again on a kite. And we've seen all these waves, and I totally understand people who get bored or frustrated in strapless freestyle and say, no, now, and as it's cool again, now I'm gonna go back and gonna boost and put the Woo on and try to make a mega loop, because also now with the equipment these days, it's possible, quite easy to also do loops. Maybe not 2 or 3 like the athletes are doing, but you see a lot of good riders which are now for the first time, even if they're kiting since 10 years, now trying to do loops inspired by the development of the sport. And it's our fault in a way also, because the moment something like this happens, we also push it, and we're happy it's like this, and we're happy that we're having big air events where there's thousands of people coming, like now with the mega loop in the Netherlands in rain and harsh conditions, and still everybody out there at the beach and cheering. And same like with the King of the Air, where people do book their holidays and spend a lot of money just to be in the same or at the same time at the same event where Red Bull is taking place, King of the Air is taking place. And we are trying not to forget the other disciplines and push those disciplines, and not only focus on big air. And the product development is the same focus on surfboards than it is on twin tips. The same focus is on the wave kites with the Neo, and where you can see we have the Neo Original, the Neo SLS, and the Neo D-Lab with the 3 different constructions and materials. We're not stepping back just because bigger is strong.
Yeah. That probably leads us nicely into chatting a little bit about the product, which is, new for this year. The first question then, you mentioned you've got the three different construction types, so the original, the SLS and the D-Lab. What's the thinking behind doing that? Why, must make it quite complicated, for photo shooting, for website, for product writing, you suddenly triple the amount of work for one product that you've got to do. What's the thinking behind doing that as a brand?
I don't think R&D until we're thinking about the triple work which was following this. But we're happy to do it, and it makes sense. First of all, it's different constructions, and it's for the different needs of different people. Where we were also looking at different industries, like in cycling, for example. You have different steps of products. So for entry level and also on the price level, it absolutely made sense for us to have the lowest entry level constructions, where at the same time the product is amazing already, and it's a high technical product. The materials are long lasting. It's a little bit heavier than a D-Lab, for example, but it works perfectly fine. It's a Evo, for example. Normal Evo is an amazing kite. Same for the Neo and the Waves. The customer can decide, do I want to have the latest what's possible in technology with, for example, a D-Lab, or do I want to have a SLS product, which is a little bit heavier, but also a little bit stronger and a little bit more durable, or do I want to go for the lowest price level, which is still an amazing high-tech product.
Yeah. So I guess it's customer-led is how you're pitching it.
Yes, and at the very beginning, the Duotone, the D-Lab, the Duotone laboratory for us was, we thought we were going to do this to show what's possible technically, like the latest in material, be innovation leader, do the best what is possible, not looking at the price tag. Already in the first season, we were completely overwhelmed of how many people actually wanted to buy this product. And this now I think we're doing it with the kites since at least 4, 5, 6 years now. It developed to a segment which is super important for us in sales.
Yeah, I guess you could never have foreseen that demand, right? It's surprising. I mean, even as me, who's been in the industry for 25 years and seen a lot of things come and go, I would never have predicted that people would be dropping, £2,500 on a kite, without thinking about it. And as we know, these are products that can break. You can crash it, you can explode, you can, it's easy. It's not something that you buy it and you keep it for life, and it's something that is just not disposable, but it's interesting to see that there is that demand in the marketplace. And I think we're sometimes guilty, I guess, of always being in the car park, and a lot of people in the industry, we're all doing it with a bit of passion rather than for the money, because there's not heaps of money involved, and you don't realize that there's a lot of people in the car park that are doing other jobs that are, earning plenty of money. And for them, buying a top end product, it's something they want to do, and they want that performance. And it's actually been really interesting as a tester to test some of these products and to see the difference between, the D-Lab versions of these kites and what performance benefits you actually gain from them, and how much of a difference that can make to your riding. And if you've got the money to spend on it, then for sure, it's a good way to go. So what's new in the kite range for 2026, Philip? What are we looking at that's exciting from you guys for this year?
Exciting, of course, are the D-Lab products, as we talked about it already. The Evo.
You have those on a different launch cycle, right? So the Evo, the D-Labs are like on a staggered launch cycle to the other products. Yeah.
The Evo D-Lab is already out, is already available. If you find one, because same like I said before, the Evo D-Lab is most wanted. Also, what you just said, it makes you basically a better kiter, which is weird. And at the same time, probably also then the moment why people want to spend the money on the extra performance. And if it makes you shine, I think a lot of people are happy to actually spend the money. Where we do realize some general sentence still to this, and kiteboarding products or any sports equipment these days is expensive, and we're trying to keep the entry level low. and at the same time are very aware also of the second-hand price for the customer, that you can actually, or you are able to sell a D-Lab product if you don't like it anymore, if you want to have the newer one after a year or two, that you still get good money for the second-hand market. And we're really trying not to do those crazy discounts by the end of the year, and always trying to have to rather be understocked than actually have too much and then struggle by the end of the year and destroy the second-hand market for the customer. Coming back to product. Yeah.
I was just going to ask on the D-Lab, just a quick question on that. So D-Lab was always, it's like the sort of the high-end laboratory version of what Duotone are doing, and pushing the envelope of what's possible in kiteboard kite construction and kiteboard construction. Are you guys still looking at new materials in that area? I know Alula's the sort of the predominant material at the moment, but is there, are you still looking at new materials? Are there other materials coming out for canopy and things like that you've been looking at? What's the material situation like?
Yeah, we're constantly looking at new material, basically 365 days a year. As far as I know, we're the only ones in the industry having our own laboratory, which is in Munich, where there's dedicated people testing new material, but also doing long-term tests with existing materials. Alula is the provider which is having that material at the moment. And at the same time, we're struggling a bit with availability, because we would need quite a lot of more gear than they can provide at the moment. Alula, the material Alula, is also not the same what it has been in the beginning 2-3 years ago. Also there's a lot of changes, and where we are trying to develop things together or have our ideas and ask then the productions to actually have material which makes sense for us. Same like we did with the Tajin canopy material in the past. Sometimes it's exclusive for us. Sometimes we don't even want the exclusivity, because it's easier to enter the market with a new product if actually the 2-3 biggest brands are working on the same material. Plus, at the same time, there's quite a competition also. So we're also looking left and right and not only focusing on Alula. And if there's something new, we will for sure try it and see if it's better or if it fits our needs. There is better material, but we don't want kites to be even more expensive. And there's also this point where you say, okay, we go that far, but at some point, the moment the D-Lab kites, for example, reach the 3,000 pounds limit, we don't know. Maybe people would still buy it. Now I'm a little bit confused in where's the end for those products, because of course there's a lot of talking and discussion. Why does it have to be that expensive? At the same time, the most expensive products are sold the best in times of crisis, maybe, but at the moment it's important for us to have all three different constructions, price level wise, because we also want to make sure that if you save up, even if you're a student, that you still be able to afford your dream at one point.
Yeah, I guess you don't want to go like windsurfing, where it got so crazy expensive. A lot of people just got turned off from it, right? And just sort of turned away. So it's important to have a mix of
looking
price
at the
points
market
so
in
people
general,
can get in.
Sorry, Rou, but
God, carry on.
Looking at the market in general, I think kiteboarding actually has never been that easy to access and never been that cheap. Not with a Duotone product, but to actually enter the market in with the crazy discounts which are made, where there's just product from 23, 24, which is leftovers from these seasons where just too much was produced. I would have wished to be able to get a kitesurfing set, I would even say, of 2 kites, a bar and a board for probably under 1,000 euros. And at the same time, this is not Duotone sales, of course, but at the same time, I think also for us it's good, because if the people stay in the sport, the moment they want to have better gear, the moment they want to have the best performance, they will probably try some Duotone gear at some point, and hopefully like it. And I think what we need is more people in the sport.
Yeah, for sure. So what else is new in the lineup from Duotone this year in terms of kites? What's exciting? What are we looking at?
The newest ones which are coming now is the Rebel D-Lab and the Choose D-Lab. Same on the
Yeah.
Yalula level.
And what's changed with those products for this year?
The Rebel D-Lab is, I would say, a little bit smoother and at the same time still jumps as high. The performance is for average riders, I think, easier to access. And it's still going to be the big air kite for Andrea at King of the Air, but at the same time, an average rider can, I would say, easily boost their height record if they want to, just by the performance of the kite.
Yeah. And then the Juice obviously is your light wind kite. How's that featuring as a product in your, in your sales? I remember when you first launched it, it was a really big product for you guys because it's like a session saver. People can go to the beach and they can be out on the water a lot earlier. Are you still finding that people are looking for light wind kites when the focus is on big air? And how's the Juice D-Lab changed for 2026?
This one, I think, really depends on the market. And if you have spots or in Europe lakes where you never get more than these 8, 9, 10 knots, this is the kite you want to have. And for us, the main focus with the Choose, not only the Choose D-Lab, but also the normal Choose, is not to have only a kite which gets you going, but a kite with which you actually will have fun and where you will be able to jump, where you will be able to have an agile kite, which is not in slow motion, but you actually really have fun and action on the water.
Yeah. And were there new Neo D-Lab this year as well, or is that coming soon?
There's a new D-Lab. Technically, I don't know too much about it yet because Guy is still developing. And
we'll have to get him on the podcast and get him to give us the details.
Yeah, for especially the wave products, and now that he's also developing quite some other kites, it could be really interesting insight on the surfboards and on the kites which Sky is developing. And
yeah,
brilliant wave kites. Know this already. Unbeatable drift. For wave sessions, all Neos offer the drift, which is really typically for the Neo. At the same time, even when it's depowered or when it's drifting, it's still reactive, and you can still rely on the kite in whatever situation you are.
And for someone listening that's thinking about big air because it's on the tip of everybody's tongue, you've got the Rebel D-Lab and the Evo D-Lab, and obviously those kites in normal constructions. But what's the choice between the Rebel and the Evo? Why would one person choose one over the other? What's the thinking behind it?
Main technical difference is the Rebel is on 5 struts, the Evo is on 3 struts, which comes with the basic differences of 3 strut and 5 strut kites. The 5 strut kite with the Rebel will be even more rigid and in gusty conditions will feel more comfortable, more forgiving. Where the 3 strut kite and where with the Evo you will have a little bit of more an aggressive, sporty feel to it. And looking at big air competition, a lot of times it's where when it really goes down to small sizes like 4, 5, 6 double loops, triple loops, riders would choose an Evo, which is fast. And the moment it goes to 7, 8, 9, 10, they would go for a Rebel D-Lab with a little bit more hang time, at the same time being still very reactive and jumping super high.
Interesting. And I know Lewis is a big fan of Lewis Crathern. He's a big fan of the Rebel, isn't he? And I see him riding that a lot and getting some huge jumps on it. But yeah, I guess it's almost like you have your Rebel guys and your Evo guys as part of the Duotone clan, right? People like one style of kite, they like the way it feels, and they kind of stick with it.
Yeah. Well, Lewis is even a big fan of the Rebel SLS in Concept Blue, which is another construction I forgot to mention, which is performance-wise exactly the same kite, just with a construction which is more sustainable. And the whole material, it looks white. It's not only white, it's undyed. So there's a lot of water saved and a lot of ink not used on the kite. Plus all the plastics are made from recyclable recyclable plastic, and also all the bladders are bio-based bladders. So,
Yeah. You have a few
but has the
Concept Blue products. You have a
Yeah.
few Concept Blue products now. How's the sales take up on them been? Are people interested? Because as someone who ran a sustainable sunglasses brand company, it's quite hard sometimes to get people to pay extra for something that's eco-friendly. And I know that the Concept Blue, the price is the same, but are you seeing, people choose to be eco-friendly and going for that construction across your products, or is it kind of still a bit of a mix?
Yeah. At the moment at the Kites, it's around 30% Concept Blue products. And like you say, the price is the same, the performance is the same, just the design looks different. The customer can decide. And at the moment, 1/3 of the customers decide for the Concept Blue product. Sometimes people which are living in regions where you have grass and sheep shit and stuff like this, you don't want to have a white looking product. I get this. At the same time, there's some people who just want to have a colorful kite, and they talk about safety issues, where I think a white kite normally you can also see pretty well depending on the color of the ocean, but normally it also stands out. But in general, people are happy about the product, like the idea. Still, like with a lot of more sustainable products, the moment it comes down to your purse, and the moment it's just €1 more expensive, that's already the moment where people don't wanna spend that €1 to save the planet, which I find very weird. But in this case, they can decide it's the same price, and we're still developing in this direction. Whenever we put the Concept Blue stamp on it, we really want to stand behind it. We want to make sure it is a Concept Blue product. For example, with the bar, we're not there yet. We have a bar grip which is produced with a 20% amount of algae. Not enough for us to call it a Concept Blue product, because the other 80% are freshly produced plastic from petroleum, and lines of a bar are basically toxic waste the moment you cannot use them anymore. So no Concept Blue sticker on those yet.
Yeah. And what's the development cycle like for a product like the Evo D Lab? How long does it take from you've just got the latest product out to market at the moment, right? People can go and buy that if they can find it, because it's sold out most places because it's so popular. But, how long does it take to then develop the next iteration of that kite, and what's involved? 'Cause I think a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into creating these products, and obviously that then is reflected in the price of the product because it takes time to do. So could you explain a little bit about what goes into that, please?
In general, we as a brand have 3 designers which are focusing on kites and wings. We have Sky Solbach in Hawaii. We have Mano Twins, who's located in Portugal, and we still have Ken Winner on the wing side. Plus, also already a couple of riders, younger people, which are going in this direction, where we have dedicated testers with Reno and Patri, which know a lot about developing. And only like this, it's possible to have this amount of testing in combination with the amount of material testing, material sourcing with the R&D team in Munich, but also being a lot in contact with the kiters, and every year also the whole R&D team together with Tilste go to South Africa for a couple of days for one full round of testing, and also deciding in which directions to go. The moment it was like this for the Evo D Lab, for example, the moment we don't have a better product, we don't launch a different product. We keep the product like it is. It might get a new design, but if we're not convinced that the new models and the new direction is better, we would just keep the same design, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense to make a different tip just to make a different tip. It needs to have a reason and needs to make a better product in some way, that we actually make a new product. Developing continues 365 days a year. Also because of the different launching days. And the moment the Evo D-Lab is launched, the next kite has to start to be developed or is even developed parallelly. So it's a tricky process, I would say. And we're also at a point in kite industry where on the D-Lab side, material-wise, we can still find a lot of different ways how to make the kites better. But we don't have these big steps anymore that out of a sudden somebody has I don't know, a hybrid kite, or there comes a helix kite like it was back in the days, which wasn't very successful, but still it was something very different, looking in a different direction of the sport. I think in general, how a kite works and flies at the moment and which bridles are to be used, if it's 3 or 5 struts, it's pretty settled. I mean, all designers in the world, please prove me wrong. Maybe there's still some big developments, but for the moment, for us, the biggest developments are what can we do with this material. And I hope I'm not giving away too much information, but also size of leading edges and the amount of pressure what leading edges can take, the possibility of kites without bladders, for example. These are the things I think quite a lot of brands are working on at the moment, and where there's probably still the most room for improvement, or not even improvement, to do it different.
Yeah. So changing the way that it happens. It's interesting you say about, not changing things for the sake of changing things. I think that's important, right? Because with your brand especially, there's a lot of kite loyalty, I would say. Like people who love the Neo, and they fly it every year, and they might not change it every year, but say in 2 years' time or 3 years' time, they want new Neos because theirs are worn out. They still want that Neo feeling, right?
Exactly.
And if they pick up the new Neo and it feels completely different, it's not going to make them happy, and they're going to want to fly their old kites again. So that must be quite tricky to manage as well.
Yeah, we changed the Rebel from pulleys to just normal bridles, and for a lot of people, even if the difference was marginal at some point, some people didn't like it, and this is not the typical Rebel feeling what I liked the last 10 years, and they really had to get used to it, or even try different kites. Where at the same time, for a modern kite and the things the Rebels are capable of doing now, it makes the most sense to have a more direct kite.
Yeah. It's a tough one, isn't it? It's I know from testing a lot of kites and products, it's always the hardest thing is the first 10, 15 minutes of flying it, because that's when you're getting used to how it flies. It's different to the last product you tested. And so, it's something that I've come to accept. And often when you're demoing kites on the beach or someone wants to have a go, it's that first 10 minutes they fly it because it feels different. They don't like it, rather than spending an hour or 2 hours and discovering how it works and then going, oh, actually, I quite like this. What would you say to anyone thinking of upgrading their kit? You've got, some really hot new products coming out on the kite line. Why should I upgrade to the new products? What's your take on that?
I go product by product. Twin tips, looking at Big Air, don't get the Team Series Big Air. For most people, the Jaime SLS or the Jaime will be the better board. And this is the board which actually has the upgrade, which has a different bottom now, has different rails. Is grip-wise nearly the same, but with so much more comfort and so much more fun in the performance compared to Team Series Big Air. But I do understand with all the hype around Big Air and people thinking, okay, I have to break my Woo record. They want to have the best gear to do this. And we got overwhelmed of the amount of people who wanted to have a Big Air board. Maybe it's also just the name. If you want to have a better all-round board, go for the Jaime or even a Select. You will have more fun. Your knees will be happy. Everything will be fine. Kite-wise, if we're talking about waves, for sure it's a Neo. And then it's up to the customer. Do I want to have the latest performance? Do I want to have a D-Lab? Do I want to spend the amount of money? Go for the D-Lab if you can. You will have sessions I remember pictures of Macho. No wind at the shore. He's in the waves. The kite stays in the air, nearly no pressure. The moment he steers it down, the pressure is there. It gets him on the wave. He gets barreled. He couldn't believe that the kite actually stays in the air and could even drift and works. For this, with a normal Neo SLS, you need these 3-4 extra knots. This is just the main difference in weight and how a kite performs. Big air, if you really want to go in conditions from, let's say, 25 to 40, 50 knots, I would go for a mix, same like the riders are doing. Get the Evos in the smaller sizes, get the Rebels in the bigger sizes, and everything else, cruising, having fun. It's a little bit up to, do you like 3 light kites? Do you like 5 light kites? If you know the gear already, like you just explained before, if you're a Rebel fan, you're a Rebel fan. I have a couple of friends, customers, where I know even if they try, I cannot convince them of an Evo. They like the Rebel feel. The Rebel feel through all the sizes is a Rebel feel. Same with the Evo. If they like it, they like it. Upgrade with the same model. What you had the best experiences already.
And I guess all of these products are available for testing, right? Duotone's quite good at having demo products in shops and things like that. So for someone listening that perhaps hasn't ridden a Duotone kite, what's the best way for them to actually be able to try one and actually use one and see how it feels?
In general, of course, recommendations of your friends, it helps a lot, but testing the product yourself is the best way to be happy afterwards. And we're fully aware of this, and this is why we're making a lot of effort with demo events. At all distributions, during their seasons, there's demo events basically at least every weekend, if not every day where there's wind. You can try all the products, everything from a beginner Gonzales to a big airboard to surfboards to all the different constructions of the kites will be displayed. Everything for free, no problem at all. You test it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, no problem at all. Doesn't matter if you're on holidays or which nation you're from. If there's an event in the UK, if there's an event in the Netherlands, if it's in Spain, Italy, wherever, you go there, you test. The only thing you have to leave is some identification, and that's it. We have the Try It Now program, where you can actually get in contact with the local shop. Depending on the stock, what they have and what they have on display for demos. You can even choose the model if possible, and if it's got a lot of different sizes, you can even choose the size. You can go there, pick it up, test it, bring it back. Again, if you don't like it, you don't buy it. No, nothing is expected from you, because at the same time, we're doing all this effort because we know that people who try, doesn't matter if you have an old Duotone kite or different brands, whatever, most of the time people will like this new product. And it's the demo events, it's to try it now. And at the same time, all our riders, all of the world, and all our opinions leader we have, talk to them at the beach when they're coming back from their session, and best if they're coming back from their session, not before their session. Ask them to try their gear, and they will happy to explain something about the gear and lend their gear for a couple of minutes. And this way, it's also an easy way to have everything set up at the beach already, go for a quick spin and get the feeling.
Awesome. That's great. Philipp, thank you for that. I think that's been a really interesting insight. I know I've had you for a good hour now, and you're an exceedingly busy
already.
Man. So I will, yeah, it's flown by. I will let you go. I expect you've got back-to-back meetings today. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on. Thanks for explaining a little bit about the product, and also for giving us a little bit of an insight into your job and role at Duotone as well.
Thank you very much, Rou. It was fun.
Thanks for listening to the Kite Pod with me, Rou Chater. Brought to you by the team at IKSurfMag.com, the world's #1 media outlet for kitesurfing. A big shout out to our diamond supporters, Duotone, Cabrina, Core Kiteboarding and Ozone, for making this podcast possible. For daily news, videos and updates from across the world of kitesurfing, head over to icasurfmag.com. And if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. It really helps us keep bringing you more great conversations. See you next time.